Hey there, and welcome to the SBVC Centennial Podcast. My name is Thomas Robles, and I am a proud alumnus here at SBVC. This podcast is part of SBVC's Centennial Celebration. Each episode, we will highlight the people that make SBVC way more than just a college. We'll talk to alumni, faculty, staff, local leaders, and community partners about how this campus opened doors, built careers, and inspired generations. Welcome to the SBVC Centennial Podcast, where we celebrate 100 years of stories here at San Bernardino Valley College. Hey everybody, my name is Thomas Robles, and welcome back to the SBVC Centennial Podcast. I am so happy. Today I get to interview the legendary Barbara Bray, who was the... how would you want to say it, Barbara? You did so much with our Centennial work. Please tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure and an honor. Well, I had heard about the job. I actually didn't know about Valley College's centennial anniversary, but then I heard about this job, and I heard that they wanted someone to do 100 events in a calendar year starting in August. And so I have a long event of event planning. I worked for Riverside County Transportation Commission as a consultant for about 30 years. I also worked at Riverside Transit Agency. I also worked at Sunline Transit Agency. And I've kind of been evolving as a planner for about 35 years, both like in my personal and professional life. And so it sounded like a really fun thing. And, you know, I've done a lot of volunteer work. I was in PTA for 17 years. I had a Girl Scout troop for 13 years, heavily involved in Boy Scouts. And I also did a lot of, still a little bit active with the Associates of the Redlands Bowl. And so I felt like all those things and the contacts that I've made over the years, I just felt like I was uniquely qualified, and I really wanted to do it. So that's kind of how I started. And as of this point, we've done 123 centennial events.
Oh my gosh. Barbara, tell me a little bit about that. So I see you in every room. I see you with every leader. I see you with students. I see you with executives, community members. What was it like to be a part of this conversation in the backbone of the Centennial celebration?
Well, it was daunting at first because, 100 events, that's 2 a week. And I didn't know like how fully formed the events were. I was given a spreadsheet with events, and it was kind of like a little detective thing because I had to find out who's involved with this event. And then I started meeting with people. Keith Bacon is my boss, and he encouraged me to meet with all the deans and some of the heads of different groups. And so I did. And so it started becoming a conversation about, what they wanted. Like, okay, this is their event. What do you want to see? How can I help? Because I didn't want to ride roughshod over people. I wanted to collaborate with them. And so on top of that, we tried to make every event look like a centennial event. So we kept their principles in mind and what their goals were, but we tried to make everything look centennial. So it started with the Centennial logo that the marketing department designed, which features the historic auditorium. Beautiful. And we use that as a centerpiece for everything. So we had specially designed step and repeat photo backdrops, which I didn't even know what that was before. So we use those extensively. We also would do balloon towers in Valley colors, which are blue and white. We would have our mascot at just about every event. And he wore everything from a nurse's cap to a mariachi costume to a serape to a Hawaiian shirt to the commencement gown. And so he was always, like a very focal point of every event. And we always sent our social media people and our photographers so that everything was captured for them and for the college.
Sure. And so it sounds like these events were very grandiose, right? You mentioned there was 120, it was like 120-ish
123
events. So in your words, before we get to our questions for our audience, what is a centennial event? Like, if you can really sum it up, like a centennial event has to have these key features. What would you say that is?
Well, I asked that question too when I first got here. And Keith kind of said, well, it's what you decide is a centennial event. So I tried to pick events that were community facing, things that would bring in people from the outside. But then it turned into be almost everything was a community event because everyone's events are important to that department or to that, club or whatever. And so, everything wasn't on the same level. Some people say now we have tiers, and it's like, that's great. But it was kind of like they were all Centennial events. We just tried to treat everything with the same measure of respect and attention.
Sure. Do you have a favorite Centennial event that you worked on this year?
My favorite event was Cake for the Campus. That was something that Dr. Contreras would walk down the hallway, and I see him coming, and he starts, saying hi to everyone. And then he got to my desk, and he would invariably, he did this more than one time. Barbara, let's do cake for everyone, like a big birthday party. And so he had seen an event like in the city of Colton where they were, starting their birthday celebration. And they had like banners going down the street. And, that's as far as he got. And so it's like, okay, how are we going to do this? And I didn't want to do cupcakes. Because to me, cupcakes are like, okay, you take it and you leave. But cake is like a family celebration. You gather around the cake, you sing happy birthday, you blow out the candles, and then you cut the cake and everybody gets a piece. And so that was my absolute favorite because we did the really big cake. We did 4 full-size sheet cakes. We had 8 candles in it, and we invited members of like the academic senate. We invited Blue. We invited all the executive vice presidents and the president and the chancellor to come blow out the candles. They weren't real candles. I had a remote. And we sang happy birthday. And then we started cutting up 800 pieces of cake for everyone. And we made a table that was 20 tables long. And we encouraged the students, sit down or you can't have cake. So we filled up all the seats. And again, you're at a birthday party, you sit at the table. So everyone sat at the table. We served 800 pieces of cake. It was wild. It was fun. It was great. And then we had everybody go on the grass, and we had them line up in formation for the 100 for the 100. And then we had the drone fly overhead and take a picture. And it was spectacular. It was beautiful. It was fun. It was low key. And we used a local bakery that was also about 100 years old. And I worked, because at first I was thinking, where can I go to get this really big cake? And he worked with me, and he made recommendations on all these special flavors, his best-selling things. And it was a little hectic when they arrived with the cake because they have this huge cake. They're trying to get it out of their van and put it in our place of honor. So it was wild, but it was fun. It was so memorable.
I remember that event, and it was so cool because I remember you had some classic cars there as well.
Yes.
I remember I saw students, I saw faculty, I saw retired folks coming by to help celebrate the Centennial.
Yes.
And I remember I was very lucky to be in the one of the 100, and just the energy of the faculty and the staff, they're like, we're doing this. That's so cool.
It was exciting.
And the fact that you were a part of that planning, Barbara, just really, I think, says so much about your work and what you've brought to campus and our community. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, just one more thing,
of course.
which started this all. We bought, oh my gosh, like 800 feet of blue and gold pennants, because we kind of incorporated gold into the celebrations this year. And so we had the pennants that Dr. Contreras wanted going down the walkway over the birthday table. So anyway, it was a small thing, but when I saw those pennants, I almost cried because it was like, it meant something to me, It's like, that's not something that we normally do.
Yeah.
But it was like, okay, we did it. We can do it again. And it was beautiful.
I don't think there's such a thing as a small thing when it comes to these Centennial events. I really think that everything was intentional, made with love, right? And the goal was to inspire that sense of belonging, inspire like, hey, right people. What does Dr. Contreras say?
Right people at the right place at the right time.
Thank you. I was getting tongue-tied. Yes, exactly. Yes. So I guarantee you that's exactly what you've done. If that was your mission, you've completed it.
Thank you.
Barbara, when you heard that we were going to celebrate 100 events for the Centennial, how did that make you feel?
Well, it was like a mathematical question, so I thought, okay, 2 events per week. Put your nose to the grindstone and get going on that, but that's not the way it turned out at all. It was, like I mentioned, it was a very enthusiastic, collaborative process. And the people that work here are really passionate about the students and the work that they do. And so we just wanted to incorporate that. So it was, getting to know people. And it was like the events didn't, but almost designed themselves, because we just tried to keep in mind everything that everyone wanted to see happen.
That's so interesting, Barbara. There were so many events. How do you make it feel authentic rather than a string of separate events? What was your mindset for that?
Well, I love creating events. I love putting the plan together. But it's a huge exercise in logistics. So it's not just like, oh, we want to have this event. It's like and especially working at some place like Valley College, that you have so many departments to consider. So you have to think about, okay, we want to use like the homemade cookies and the breakfast burritos from the Valley Grill. But some events, we want them to attend. We don't want them to always just provide the food. We have to work around athletic schedules. We want to use the gym, but we have to put in like special tiles the night before they can put tables and chairs on it. We have to think about maintenance, like when their shifts end, and, what can get done like the night before and that kind of thing. And then we have to coordinate with like rental agencies, like we use, local rental places to do chairs and tables and linens and lights and all that stuff. And so we can't work on their stuff and they can't work on our stuff. So, it's all just logistics. And you have to do like a very detailed run of show. You have to have like what time everything is happening, what date everything is happening. You have to revise it constantly.
Of course.
You have to communicate it to everyone. And to me, it's like a trust exercise. The more you work with people, the more they trust you. Like, okay, she's going to do what she said she was going to do. We need to be there because, I'm counting on them, to move things, to put things up. And also to be respectful of their specific job descriptions. We don't just say, hey, do everything for us. We do a lot. They do a lot. And so, that trust with every event, I felt like it getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And so, now that we've gone through a whole year, it's like, I'm so honored to have like such an effective working relationship with all the departments at Valley. It's just been incredibly rewarding.
Of course.
Yeah.
And when I think about that work, as your biggest fan and your peer and friend, I imagine that work spilled over into the district and Crafton Hills as well. And I immediately think about the Olympics that we hosted.
Olympics.
So how did you feel about the Olympics? Because I loved it. I loved the fact that we were all together.
It was fun.
Did you plan those games?
I did not plan the games. Eve and Jesse and Noelle worked on the games, but our part was the actual event. So, we set up the lunch that was beforehand. Dr. Contreras wanted shirts for everyone. And then we had the event in our gym. Crafton College also had an event, but we had the second event. So it's kind of like, okay, we could see what they did. And it's like, okay, this is our home turf. Yeah. So we had beautiful banners, in the gym. We had awesome signs that people could hold. We gave out noisemakers like cowbells and confetti. And we made a special tunnel for our athletes to run through with smoke and strobe lights and special lights and music. And we had a DJ who also had music for those guys, but they didn't plan anything like we did. Yeah. And it was super popular, super fun. We did the Olympic rings on hula hoops. And because the Olympic logo for the 3 colleges, the district, Crafton, and Valley, there are 3 rings. And so it has the colors of each entity. So it's the yellow, the green, and the blue. So we use those colors with flowers, but we also use like olive leaves because olive leaves were used at the first Olympics. And so it was a cost-effective but effective decoration. And we had medals that had our Centennial logo on them. It was beautiful. It was fun, positive. I love athletic events. You really got your competitive juices going, and everybody was so into it. It was fun. It was very fun.
And that's so special because you're really authentically bringing this Centennial pride, not just to the students and community, but to the people that work here. I remember I was on Instagram and I'm sharing pictures of, look at how cool my job is, right? And my friends that work at other colleges or universities, they were like, that's super cool. Like, that's what, like, I've never seen that before ever in my career. You know?
I wasn't expecting that. You know, the first event that we had, I think, was a groundbreaking and for the Student Services Building. And I think we said it was starting at 12. And I was excited about it because it was my first, official one. We had hard hats with the Centennial logo to hand out, and people were lining up at 11:30. And it's kind of like the Field of Dreams. If you build it, they'll come, and that's the way it is at Valley College. People come to everything. The opening of an envelope,
Honestly.
No, but it was amazingly gratifying, and it really ignited something in me. Like, I always do my best, but it's like, oh my gosh, we really have to, step it up for these people. I don't want them to say, oh, I'm not going to go to that. It's like everything that we gave away, we wanted everyone to be in attendance to receive those items and to, not ask for it after the fact. It's like, nope, you got to be here. You got to be a part of it.
And then events had specific swag. They had specific items that you only gave out at those events.
Yes.
What was your favorite item that we gave out? Because I'm partial to the blue plushie, of course.
Yes.
I love that.
People love that, yeah. I think my favorite was the sweatshirt that we gave out at the spring convocation because it featured the map of Valley College, but it was like in a whimsical pattern, and it was adorable. And that was such a hot item. And people were asking about it. They were almost immediately gone because we just ordered for the people that were coming to the event. But that was, we ordered 500 and they were gone like that.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, somebody asked me about that today, asking about that sweatshirt. It's like, ooh,
I really love the baseball jersey. And I was able to get one after the fact, but it's like 3X. I don't know if I could fit it at this time, but if anybody needs a 3X jersey, I got one in the closet.
I love the jerseys too.
It was just
super
so
popular. It's fun to see everyone wearing that, and on a cold day, everyone was wearing our sweatshirts. It was awesome.
I mean, how could they not?
Yes.
But once again, that is the best sense of belonging that you can have if not only are these events bringing pride and love into the community, but like people want to wear it. That's so cool.
Yes.
I remember, San Bernardino Valley College hasn't had the most stellar reputation, but the fact that right now, today, people are like, I need another thing to rep in public how cool Valley College is. And I think you're a part of that conversation,
well,
Barbara.
Thank you. I had never set foot on Valley College's
You're
campus.
kidding. And you grew up in the area?
I grew up in Fontana, and I live in Redlands now. And for some reason, I went to Chaffey College, so I went to community college, but I had never been here. And like when I got here, it's like, this place is beautiful. The stadium is gorgeous. The auditorium is so historic and, classic. And just like the gardens and the flowers and the trees, it's a really very nice place to be.
Have you had a favorite place on campus that you've been able to do events at?
Every place, I know this sounds funny, but every place is actually my favorite because we try to do unique things.
I think you were all over. I can't remember a region where you weren't on campus.
We created spaces.
Sure.
I mean, we even did like an employee appreciation event that was on the walkways of the administration building. And so we had like bistro tables and, coffee cart up there, Again, never been up there. And we also did like an employee appreciation luncheon for all the people that helped with Senator Eloise Gomez Reyes's signing in ceremony. And so we had like smaller tables up there. Again, the patio, to my knowledge, has never been used, and it was lovely. We had, floral centerpieces, little tables. It was a sit-down lunch for the maintenance people that ferried people around from parking lot to parking lot, and for the cafeteria workers who provided the food, and marketing department who helped, all the time. And it was lovely. But again, we never used that space before.
Barbara, I have another question here for you I wanted to ask. So, we've discussed SBVC Centennial was not just one audience. It involves students, employees, alumni, retirees, donors, elected officials, families, and even community partners. How did you plan events that made all of those groups feel included?
Well, Valley College had like a whole slate of events that is what they normally do. And so, again, I just kind of came in and, they were kind enough to let me take the lead on several of these events, or co-lead, with some people that were firmly entrenched. But like WinterFest, where we brought in fresh snow and we had a Polar Express, Valley Express theme. And we had a little train that went around. We made a ramp with the snow. We made like a snow field. We had fake snowballs that kids could throw around. So that was like for the community, for the students and their families. We did this alumni football game, which obviously involved the alumni. We invited them with special commemorative tickets, and then we had a special tent set up in the end zone, and we had invited them to have like a barbecue dinner with us, and so that was really special. And then something else we did was we had Centennial athletic lunches for all of our teams, and so they got to pick what they wanted for lunch. And we had a lot of them outside, but then towards the end of the year, when it started getting really rainy and cold, we started doing them inside the gym. And each one we tried to make it specific and special for that team. So like the girls softball team. And that was amazing because they did cheers for Dr. Contreras, which was awesome. And our floral designer, Svetlana, we always have fresh florals. And so she made it so each girl could walk away with like a little bouquet. And it just happened to be around Valentine's Day. So it was very sweet, but we did it for every single team. And the meeting the athletes was fun. They were so appreciative. It was nice to give them a nice lunch and everything. And we invited members across campus. So, faculty would come, staff people. And again, you're just celebrating the athletes. And then we also made them like spirit flags. And we also ordered like commemorative mini balls, like, volleyballs, soccer balls, basketballs. And we put the Centennial logo on all of them. And then they could take those little balls and then throw them into the home stands for their games. So it was fun. It was really, very, very, very sweet.
I'm so glad that you got to engage with all the teams. Was there a particular team that stood out to you during the Centennial year? I'm not even talking about how good they did in their season, but just like the energy that they brought to the room.
Well, football is special.
Sure.
Love working with Coach Griff. And, he's like so passionate about his team members. So it was fun. It's kind of like Dr. Contreras, you want to rise to the occasion and make them happy. And so like he had his own ideas, about, he wanted to do like a contest where booster members competed to decorate their cars. And, we had like a little like fair before, some of the games, and to just like have food trucks and have people engage. And we had tabling by the different departments. So football is always fun. We had like the whiteout game where we gave out 750 T-shirts that said Valley Up on them. We had the Pacifica football game where we had dancers. We had a blessing before the football game. We had drums. We handed out tea leaves, which are like, kind of like pom-poms, but cooling and that kind of thing, and food themed to that event. So we had a lot of themed football games that were super fun to work with. And midway through the year, we ended up getting the cheerleaders from across the street, the middle college high school cheerleaders, and they were adorable. We gave them, their uniforms had not come in. They don't have their own athletic teams, but they came and cheered for us, and we gave them Valley Up T-shirts, the ones that we gave away, and they were thrilled with them. And then we also got a marching band from San Bernardino High School, and they came for several games, and it was amazing. We didn't have those things, but they became a part of us.
Barbara, we talked a lot about the events that you really enjoyed. What were the events that were a little difficult? Can you talk about that for a little bit?
The biggest event that I feel like that we did, it wasn't that it wasn't enjoyable, because it was amazing, but it was difficult. So we had Poncho Sanchez, the Grammy nominated award-winning artists come to campus. But we had to start from scratch. We were going to have it outside. We didn't have any infrastructure for lighting, sound, that kind of thing. So we had to bring in a company to do all that, and they knocked it out of the park. Our lighting for that event was gorgeous, and it was worthy of the caliber of someone like Poncho Sanchez. But it also involved so many different spaces. So we had the stage. We also had a green room for Poncho Sanchez and his musicians, and they had specific writers for their food. It wasn't green M&Ms, but they had specific food that they wanted, and so we had to, prepare that, make it a comfortable space for them.
Sure.
We also had a reception for our alumni association members. And so that was a separate event with separate food, and it was a meet and greet for Poncho Sanchez. People took photos and that kind of thing. And we also designed the stage. So the company that we used, they did all the lighting, which was spectacular, but we did the backdrop. So we did 40 feet of our Centennial logo, step and repeat, and then we had 10 feet, which was a mirror wall with a giant Centennial logo. And then we also had these gold cages that had like tropical greenery in them, just for a little bit of added thing. And then we also created like an outdoor eating area for guests that came, because we had invited food trucks and drink trucks and that kind of thing. And so they could get their food, and they didn't have to just take it to their seats. They could, relax and sit on the grass. And we had tablecloths on all the tables and little centerpieces and that kind of thing. And we also had to hire an opening act. And we also had a collection of canned food. So, it was a free concert, but we wanted people to bring things, and then we were able to donate it to the student pantry.
Yeah.
So,
Love that.
Yeah, it was awesome. It really tested me and challenged me. And, I just had to make sure there were so many elements that were taken care of. The other thing is, Poncho Sanchez only brings his drums. All of the rest of the musical equipment has to be rented.
Interesting.
Yes, I had no idea. So we had to find a company that did that, and it took us a couple of tries because, people are, yes, I'm going to do it. And then we never call you back. And it's like, okay, tick-tock, time is passing by. But everything happened. Everything was incredible. It was a very, very positive experience. And, the people that were there, it was memorable. It was awesome.
So I have another question here for you, Barbara. The Centennial Gala raised more than $1 million and brought together more than 500 guests. From your perspective, what had to happen behind the scenes to make that night feel worthy of SBVC's 100-year history?
Actually, I was like an odd bystander. So Mike Lane and Carol Dixon have put together a committee that met for over a year to put together all the different, points of the event. And I know Carol had worked on several galas in the past, but this was like the pinnacle event. So not only did they put together like a slate of honorees, they also got like community members to, again, bring classic cars that, represented each decade. But I think the centerpiece of the event was the car, the 1926 Buick that was donated to Valley College. And I know Mike was instrumental in securing funding and really staying on top of that process and getting like Valley College faculty and students to work on that. And it's beautiful. So it's navy blue, which is awesome, and it is so pretty. It was featured on all the invitations. And it's still there, so people can take pictures with it and everything. But all those things, I think, they made the gala just really, really substantial. And Carol had compiled a lot of footage from athletic teams, flights involving our campus, our aeronautics department, and put it all together in like a program that featured volunteers dancing and singing, and with the footage and with little, speech excerpts from the different honorees. It was amazing. It was like just a very enjoyable program. And it just gave everyone like a sense of community. And, the fact that they raised over $1 million, I mean, that's going to affect all these students positively for years to come. So yes, it's a party, but it's a movement, and it was it was flawless.
I remember seeing you at that event, Barbara. I was lucky to bring my very pregnant wife at the
Yes, I
time,
remember.
my mom and my mother-in-law.
Yes.
And I remember the three of them walking in. They're like, yo, whoa, this is crazy. Because when you think of community college, you might think of a more humble, what's the term I'm looking for? Kind of a space.
Sure.
The gala was so elegant,
Yes.
right? Like
Yes.
literally something that you would see on TV.
Absolutely.
It was so special to be in that room. And if I could really quickly talk about the car, I was part of the marketing group that, our team. We captured the development of the building of that car.
Wow.
Some of the pieces in that car were custom made,
Yes.
in-house.
Yes.
So not only was it staff and faculty and students, they invited community members out to help build that car. And I remember the last couple weeks prior to the gala, they really hit the ground running.
Exactly.
And I remember seeing it when it wasn't even on wheels, and then all of a sudden,
Yes.
bam, it's done.
Right.
So thank you to everybody that was working on that project. What a perfect centerpiece
Yes.
to the event. It was phenomenal. And now that I'm thinking about it, they auctioned off some really cool items
Yes.
at that event. So I will be transparent in saying that I won one of the auctions for the trip to Italy. So
Yes.
we're going to be going to
Appropriate.
Italy. Yeah, right. My wife is Italian. But I am thinking back at, we auctioned off some famous Dodger baseballs from Shohei Ohtani,
Yes.
and I think it was Mookie Betts, correct?
Yes.
Do you
I think
remember
so.
any of the other auction off items?
Well, I had a hand in designing one of the
Oh.
auction items, which was involves a football game, and so a future football game, and I think Letitia Hector won it.
Oh, no way.
And so there's a secret space on the Applied Technology building that features like a patio, but it represents an amazing view of the football field. So my idea was to create like a dinner, for invited guests to be up there with tables and tablecloths and flowers and lighting and music, but also be able to see the football game at the same time. So that was a prize offered by Dr. Contreras.
Oh my God. Barbara, I wanted to take a moment to recognize that, and in case you don't know back at home, Barbara was named Professional Expert of the Year here in the Centennial Year. How do you feel about that award, being recognized for your efforts this year?
I was so honored. It was a really special night for me because my daughter Julia was here, and I got to introduce her to all the people that I've been talking about for a year, people that I didn't know a year ago, but who are so important to me. And, there's a lot of professional experts, and we all work really, really hard. We're kind of like the Hamilton quote, we get the job done, And I had not been working for about 7 years. I was retired happily, but then this job came up, and it's like, I would like to do that, and I'm so glad I did. And it has just been such a rewarding part of my life. Just the friends that I've met and the things that we've created. I hope they stand the test of time, but for the people here right now, they matter. And I'm just so honored, I know that a lot of people, you are judged by your peers, and that means so much to me. It's just incredible.
I agree. And Barbara, I have just a few more questions left for you. When people look back at SBVC's centennial years from now, what do you hope they understand about the people who made it happen?
Well, I think it starts at the top. I feel like Dr. Contreras is a visionary, and he inspires people. He has a very generous, kind, enthusiastic spirit. And, I feel like everywhere he goes, he infuses all that positivity, with the students and the faculty and the staff. And I think he was instrumental. I think he was the voice, along with many others, but he was the primary voice saying, we want to make this centennial year, so positive. And everywhere he goes, he says that, And then there's the execs, there's Letitia Hector, there's Yvonne Gutierrez Sandoval, and Keith Bacon. They're young, younger than me, passionate, and I feel like they're so gung-ho on everything to do with the students and the campus, and that comes through. So it's like they're cheerleaders for all the students that are here, but they also look out for the employees and things like that. And so to me, a place is not just the physical location and the buildings. it's all the people that work here. I mean, it's just, they all know what the Centennial is. They all celebrate it with their attendance, with their ideas, and with their passion, for the students that go here. And, I just feel like, we're all along for the ride.
So that leads us to our last question, Barbara. To me, San Bernardino Valley College is, and it could be a statement, a word, a paragraph, make it your own.
So when I was growing up in Fontana, no one in my family had ever been to college. And, my parents didn't really talk about what our plans were for college. I was afraid to take the SATs. And but then I heard about community college, and it's like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I did. And it took me 5 years, and it wasn't easy because I was first gen before I even knew what first gen was. And but I did it, and then I got my bachelor's degree, and that enabled me to live my life. I was able to raise a family, choose the kind of jobs that I wanted to work, have the kids and do volunteer work, and all because I had a college background. And then, it's like, you don't know what you want to do until you're in it. It's like, I wanted to be a teacher initially, and I thought, I'm not that good at it, So, but it's like, I was very into marketing and public relations. And so, that's the path I chose, and I'm really, really happy with that. And then the second thing is the people that are here. San Bernardino Valley College is the people. I kind of said that, before, but it's not the buildings. It's, Dr. Contreras from the top down. It's Angie Gideon, who, worked here for 60 years and probably didn't really want to quit. It's people like you, people that give their passion and their commitment. They step in the door, and it's not just like counting the hours until the day is done. It's like, what can we do to make Valley College a better place? And you don't quit until, you feel like you've gotten there. So
I absolutely love that. Thank you so much, Barbara.
Thank you.
What a great episode.
Oh, thanks.
I can't wait to listen to this again.
Thank you.
But it's been an honor to have you on the podcast. Everybody at home, thank you so much for listening in. Barbara, thank you so much for your time and your amazing work that you brought to campus. Seriously, what an honor to have you as a peer, as a coworker, but also more deeply as a friend.
Well, and if I could say one more thing.
Sure.
There's a lot of important people on campus, but there's also people that have helped me personally. So like Gilbert and Cynthia and Svetlana and Anna and Vladimir, those are the people that helped me. They were the ones that turned the lights out on every event. They're like, Barbara, go home. It's like, okay. And they made sure that everything was put away, everything was taken care of. And again, we're the worker bees, super important. You have people with vision and leadership, but you also have us regular people, and super important. They really make up an important part of the fabric of Valley College.
I completely agree. And thank you so much for shouting out those team members. I agree. They are the unsung heroes of the campus. Before we end, was there anything else that you wanted to share for the podcast?
Thank you for asking me. So kind of you. I appreciate every positive thing you've ever said to me. I treasure you.
I treasure you, Barbara.
Thanks. Thank you.
And on that note, we'll go ahead and end it. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us for the SBVC Centennial Podcast. Thank you, Daniel, in the booth for doing all the great stuff behind the scenes. Thank you to FTVM for allowing us to use the space. It is super, super cool. Once again, my name is Thomas Robles, and this is the San Bernardino Valley College Centennial Podcast. Valley up.